11 News.
A female clerk has been shot to death at a convenience store.
The scene from an apparent gunshot wound.
Sometime during the argument,
can you say, can I say, oh yeah, we're so happy that gun violence is down. We're so happy that, we're just happy that maybe instead of 10 people getting killed a week, it's only 2. But guess what? Those 2 people got to suffer for the rest of their lives.
An armed robber who shot
So,
the woman. She was hit
what do I say?
times,
Until it gets to 0,
the woman was already
doesn't
dead
matter.
by the time officers arrived at the store.
Do you think there has been an escalation of gun violence in the past 5 years?
I don't think I know. I've seen that here in the community. Our intensive care unit is a 36-bed intensive care unit, and on any given day, every 3rd bed is filled with someone who's been injured through gun violence.
I think we're definitely seeing more than what was happening a couple of years ago. A lot of people have easier access to guns, easier access to weapons, so it's becoming something that's unfortunately very, very much more frequent.
The gun violence, as it's called in America, has been going down for the last 20 years. In fact, in 2012, it's the lowest level it's been in over 20 years. So it's very tempting to be driven by recent events that are publicized heavily, like the Sandy Hook shootings or the ones in Colorado, but in a nation of 315 million people, the averages are what count.
What was your reaction to what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School?
I was devastated. I actually grew up about 30 miles outside of Sandy Hook. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, so it's a community that's fairly close to mine. So it was devastating. I have 2 children around the same age as the kids who were, you know, injured and some killed. So it was a heart-wrenching incident for me.
My reaction was that it was a day that we'll always be embarrassed of. I'm not sure that we could have prevented that day, but we could have prepared better for it by enacting laws that might have been able to anticipate an incident like that happening.
You know, of course I felt bad for him, really bad for him, but to highlight that and not deal with the people in our own communities, it was like, yeah, okay. You know, I mean, you know, no disrespect to how they felt, because I know their pain is their pain, and there's nothing more horrible than the murder of your child, to me. But again, how can I feel real sorry for them when our community is having murders like that?
What do you feel about the Second Amendment?
I think the Second Amendment, number one, needs to be taken into perspective. It's written for a well-regulated militia. That's sort of the first part of it. Secondly, I am not opposed to people who can own guns in a regulated fashion. What I find problem with is when we have military assault-style weapons that become available to the public, because those have a capacity to create injury on a mass scale that can create greater and greater amounts of destruction.
The Supreme Court has ruled here recently is that the people are the militia. So it's the militia is not something I have to be a member of before I have gun rights. I have gun rights as a citizen.
Why does the NRA support the right for someone to own a weapon such as the AR-15? Why would someone need such a weapon?
Well, again, why do you need to wear a red coat? It's a freedom that you have. This particular freedom to own firearms is in the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution, is a right that I have as a citizen. It's a right that you have as a citizen.
Have you ever had to tell a family that they just saw someone to gun violence, and how did that feel?
I've told several family members that they've lost a family member to gun violence, and it is probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Medical school training, residency, it's the hardest thing to tell somebody that they've lost a piece of their family or a piece of their person.
It's not easy, it's difficult, but it's a privilege to be a part of that space. I try to take them to a point of pain so that they're not crippled by it. I allow them to hold that and allow them to be able to vent, to accept their anger, to accept their disbelief, and to be present in the midst of that suffering.
I get home, I see a police car, I see my husband, and I don't see my daughter's car. And I go in the house and they say, sit down, and they break this, they tell me what happened. I go to my knees, I said, you a lie? You are a lie. This couldn't happen. Yeah, it was just beyond, I couldn't believe it. No way would something like this happen to Matt. I live in a gated community. There's 4 guards walking my property every day. How can this happen to me? What did we do? Both working parents, both living in a gated community, it's no way. We drive my son to school. How can they catch him by himself and do something like this? But yeah, what is it? Yeah, your child.
How does the work that you do help you cope with your own loss?
Okay, I have to, you know, if I don't straighten this out real soon, they gonna look at this, and I know you probably could, but they're gonna say, well, Vicki, you let him say loss. We don't use the word loss, period, because anything loss, and I know it's the L-O-S-T or the L-O-S-S, but we don't use that. We use the word murder. So how do I deal with the murder of my child? And how does this work help me? It allows me to breathe. It allows me to be a servant. It allows me to be an example of others, of, like I say, of being able to get through this and how I get through it. You know, of course through God, but through the energy and the strength of all the other parents that go through it and those that look to me for help, and I'm able to give it. How do I give it? I don't know. But I think a lot of it is through just listening, just being there. Because, you know, even though my son was murdered and their child may have been murdered, they own their pain and I own mine. But knowing that somebody else is in your shoes allows people to make to really know that it's going to be okay. And one of the biggest things is when I can see a person laugh. Once I know that they can smile again, laugh again, and sometimes it seems so like, oh wow, that's simple, but it's not. To allow someone to be able, I mean not to allow, I don't want to say allow, to see somebody smile again that's been full of pain for, you know, and they thought they were going to be full of pain forever and ever and ever. That's big. That's real big. And for me to be able to laugh and me to be able to just share, you know, share everything with them, that's how it is.